4.3.
I'm sorry, 4.3. If we do nothing, if the tax, if what we do, it doesn't pass or it's a failure or whatever.
Right.
And then option 2, if we go 0.25%, it's, what was that number?
1.5
1.5, okay.
in cuts.
Cuts, additional cuts to what's already been cut today.
Yes.
I mean, where we're at today, it would be an additional cut of 1.5. And then option 3, with the 0.5%, then we'd have an additional, we could call some people back to work, it looks like. Is that, yeah, Mr.
Well, within the police force, probably more toward, could be some civilians, but hopefully more uniformed police officers. Streets, it would be pavement.
Yeah.
Parks, it would be, that we would need,
Right,
280.
well, okay, let me
280 basically maintains where we're at. In the case of
Streets,
parks.
we have, the way you have this set up, for streets, we have an additional 420,000. For police, we have an additional 420,000, and for Parks and Rec, we'd have 280,000.
Right. That 280, by the way, should that be kept here, would barely keep us where we're at. Probably not.
Well, I mean, it would make up part of that, about half of the money we spent this year out.
The 391.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Because what we're looking at in parks, without scenario 3, is pulling back to simply maintaining our properties, the buildings, and cutting the grass, and not necessarily to the extent we've long been accustomed to, and being out of the programming probably altogether. We'd have to be very sure that any program we provide absolutely pays for itself.
Okay,
We're learning that this year, I think, and I think we'll be in a better position to understand that.
Okay, so now would we be able to open the pools with this money, or would they still remain closed?
We're still at best the single pool.
Okay. With the 0.5%. You're talking, this is with, if we put on a 0.5%.
Yeah, with the 0.5%.
Okay, does anybody have any, yeah, Mr. Pulaski.
I just want to point out that my revenue estimate in the tax budget assumes that the economy is not going to improve. So I basically, when I start my certificate of estimated resources for the next year, I'm pretty much taking a very worst case scenario, very conservative approach to my revenue estimates until, the new year comes and you get a better handle on things. So that 27,441,558 could be better than that, but that's my starting point.
Well, the word I'm getting out there, I mean, I've had people call, I had discussions with different businesses and I've talked to 2 businesses that are ready to close their doors. I have a couple of professionals call me, their business is way down.
Yeah, and added to that, I mean, if we do get 27,441,000, that would be the budget, because I'm not anticipating any cash in the general fund, and if we don't really do something with this year's budget for the remaining of the year, we could be on the backside of zero as far as a cash balance starting out next year. We're probably only going to have $500,000, between $500,000 and $600,000 in the general fund after we pay bills this week. We still got a 3-pay month in October. We still have to pay our liability insurance, and we still got to fund the workers' compensation fund. So we're going to have to look at this year's budget as well to ensure that we are at least at zero cash.
Well, are you sure this is conservative enough?
Well, for next year, I'm fine with it. Yeah, there's plenty of time to adjust that.
Okay, well, then let's open it up to discussion. Mr. Stewart.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Pulaski. What is the year-to-date now that we're currently down, so that we're all up to speed on it?
We're still collecting some money in July, but I believe at the end of June we were down 12%.
12%.
Over the course of a year, that's over $2 million. Plus, the Lorain County Budget Commission just lowered our estimate for local government by $180,000, so they've already lowered this year's certificate by that amount. So we're expecting now $180,000 less in local government funding because the state adjusted their estimate. They're not collecting as much as they thought.
Again, through you, Mr. Chair, to the administration. Has there been any more further talks and discussions about, we had attempted a while ago in regards to doing some type of reduction percentage-wise, I believe it was 9%. Any more discussion in regards to that as far as maybe before we act on this, or have even more further discussion, any more discussion about as far as another pay reduction or anything with the units?
We have, Mr. Eichelon, can you address that?
As far as reductions go, and when we've come to the table to talk to the unions, as you know, we brought forth 4 of the contracts to continue them with, based on the pay rate that they received in July of 2008. And without opening the contracts and opening every article, that was, I believe, by the advice of the consultant and the administration, the best mode to go. We can open the contracts and negotiate and try to get reductions. They could in turn ask for increases, and ultimately we could end up with a conciliator who then writes the contract for us. So it was felt that to hold things at the 2008 prices and move forward for another year was in the best interest. So to answer your question, has there been discussion at the table to get a reduction? No, the discussion is to hold everything at 2008 prices.
And I do remember those, with the committees that we've had, but and I think we can always, attempt to try and go back to have those discussions again. So I would just want to bring that out there. What about a temporary freeze with longevity? Again, I know that was part of the contracts. I mean, we're trying to throw out options, is what we're trying to do. Can you weigh in on that?
Well, as far as, we did raise those issues, and they said, if we're going to open one article of the contract, we're going to open up the entire contract, and let's talk about all the pieces. And that's where the roll of the dice comes in. So it was felt just to hold everything, again, at 2008 numbers. So they don't want to do a piecemeal. Either we are going to negotiate the entire contract, or we're going to freeze it, which direction you want to go. And even the costs of negotiating the contract are being saved by just moving forward and holding them at 2008 numbers.
Now, just to follow up on Mr. Stewart's question, they understand that if we do nothing, that we're going to have to lay many of them off.
Yeah, I think they clearly understand that if we continue to lose revenues, that the only way to save money is to reduce the workforce. And they understand that's the option, and they frankly have experienced it already this year.
AFSCME, for example, is our largest union. I think they're around 170 at this point, 160 perhaps. There's only about 30 of them that are in the general fund any longer, 40 at the top, at the most. So most of them are relatively insulated from this.
Okay. But our safety forces aren't. I mean, so I mean, and that's the biggest bite we have. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Tanner.
Yes, if I may, Mr. President. With the latest reports that Ted had given me, which was last May, for May, we dropped in the general fund 9.29%, the police levy 9.50%, and then of course 9.32% overall. And then June, it come out to 10.67%, 10.81%, and 10.69%. And it doesn't take a mathematical genius to understand that you can't keep dropping that way. And we have no control over it. And we're in a tailspin, and it's dropping, and for us to stop it, it's hard. But after talking with Ted, I think it was Friday, wasn't it, Ted? We left here, everything was dark, lights out, but you and I, and he was filling me in, and we were going over, and certainly he was answering my questions. Certainly I have faith in that man, and so I, with no doubts at all, know we're in trouble, we're gonna stay there. I don't think any of us want our level of employment of people dropping anymore, because you're getting a sample of it now, how long it takes anything to get done. And it's just because you have to wait because they've got less people doing it. So I have no problem, and if for discussion get on the floor, that my motion would be that we take the 0.5%, try to go with the 0.5% new monies, permanent 0.5% for our voters to decide for us.
Okay. That's what,